Everybody, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of What Do You Know with Joe. I've got some great guests with me. My buddy Colin Richey, he'll be helping me interview the great Sofiane Djeffal. Sofiane, thank you so much for joining the show. Want to make sure did I pronounce that correctly?
Say it again, just to make sure.
Sofiane Djeffal.
That's great. Wait, we take that. We take that.
No.
The accent makes it a little difficult, but you know what? It's probably one of the best pronunciation I've heard since I've been in the US. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I'll take that. I'll take that
Yeah.
because
Well done.
I'll take that. I will. I'll be honest. I 100% before you joined was talking to Colin over here. Was like because I love DC United. Colin's a way bigger DC United fan than I am, just because he's a hardcore fan. And I was like betting him left and right. I was like, I want to make sure I get this right. I want to make sure I pronounce this correctly. So that was I got to give some credit to Colin there.
Yeah, thank you, Colin.
No
You did a
problem.
great job.
Joe studied French in high school, so he's got his pronunciation down.
Don't put me on the spot like that,
tell.
man. I don't know any of it still. I don't know any of my French. But no, yeah, we can't thank you enough for joining us. As for those who don't know, Sofiane currently plays for DC United, the MLS team located here in Washington D.C., and he's going to tell us a little about his story, where he comes from, and about the season. So we can't thank you enough for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, Joe, should we just hop right into
Let's
it?
go for it. Yeah, let's go right for it. Let's go.
I just wanted to start off with a little side note for you, Sofiane. I actually we know that you're from Nantes, France.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So I actually went there back in December and went to a game of FC Nantes. So I'm a little bit familiar with the town. Yeah. So
that's my old club. That's my old club. Yeah.
So we wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of what it was like growing up there. Since I got to imagine it's a bit different than where you've been in the US so far.
Yeah, no, definitely different. Come from a big family. I've got 7 siblings, so we're 8 kids with me. So it was always loud at the house. I was always the little, I'm going to say the little favorite, because I was playing soccer and because I was playing for Nantes, because I was playing for like the main team of the city. I was like the little favorite trying to get away with like some trouble and stuff because I was playing. But no, it was fun. It was nice. I had a great childhood. I cannot complain. Everything was about soccer. My whole life, everything was about soccer. That's why I made some of my closest friends. Most of my friends back in France, I met them through soccer. So soccer was the main thing in my life, I guess, from since day one. And but no, it was and that's why I came in the US also. It was just to see something different, a different culture, a different perspective of life and stuff, and I love both sides of it. So that was good. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you had the chance to go to my city as well.
Yeah, it was fun to go to a game there because I've been to so many DC United games.
Yeah.
That the culture there is a lot of fun too.
Yeah, 100%. Like we call that football back in Europe.
Yeah.
Like football is everything.
Yeah,
It's like everything.
all the songs and I didn't even know what anyone was saying, but I was singing
Yeah,
along.
yeah. Just move your lips. Just move your lips
right.
and act like it.
Oh, that's funny. And I was gonna go ahead, Colin.
No, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like I've always wanted to go to a game like across the pond. And also feel free for this episode. We'll call it football if we want to. People will have to get used to it. That's fine with me.
I like that.
So, would you say that FC Nantes is your favorite football club or team, or would you hope to play for them in the future? How do you like DC compared to being over there?
Yeah, I think it's really different. I never really had the chance to, to be professional back in Europe, back in France. So it's really difficult to pick. When I was young, and the club of my family has always been Marseille. So we're Marseille fans since day one, and that's probably not gonna change. My family is too stubborn when it comes to that. So we're gonna stick with Marseille no matter what in France. But there's no any clubs or where I feel like I would like to play. I just want to, reach my potential and get as high as I can, and reach like I said, reach my full potential is probably my main objective. And then if that gets me to certain clubs, great. If that gets me, to to also stay in the US, I'm completely fine and happy with it as well. I think it's more of like it's not more of the location, it's more of like projects for me and what I want to achieve.
That's
I
a
think
cool
that's
way.
a good outlook.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's a cool way of looking at it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how I ended up in the US in the first place. It was not about like location. It was not about where I was going. It was more about like, does that make sense for me to go at this moment in my life? And it did. So I think I'm trying to look at it that way with my career as well. If I can play for Marseille, it'd be great. If I play my whole career with this United, it'd be great. Let's say it like that.
I love the outlook on life this man's got. It's beautiful.
Thank
This
you.
man, I love it. I love it.
I
It's awesome.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Would you say I think I would guess the answer to this. Not necessarily for you. Would you say like soccer probably was the most popular sport you were I mean, like you said, like it was from day one. Were there like any other sports like your family did or played around there? Like I know France and stuff has like a basketball team, but like was
Yeah.
football probably the main sport you were like from day one, like this is just what I'm doing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, it was that. In my family, which is interesting, I've got 8 siblings, but I'm the only one that plays football.
Okay.
So when my dad is like completely fan of football, my older brother, every time my mom is complaining on the weekends because they're watching so many games, like it's football everywhere, at my house. But I'm the only one playing, which is interesting. Some of my siblings play different sports, but now for me, since day one, my older brother just like got me into it, and I'm stuck with it since 20 years now.
That was gonna
So
say
yeah,
that was leading
football.
kind of my next question. Like you say day one. When was day one? Was that like when you were like 5 years old, 6 years old? When did you
Yeah,
start
yeah,
playing competitively?
yeah. I started at 5 years old playing for FC Nantes. This going to trainings and stuff. Also, obviously, when you're really young, is simply once or twice a week. Just like we're just playing, we're just
Hmm.
all chasing the ball, all behind it. But like FC Nantes is already like structured. Even when you're 6 years old, you're learning the basics of the game and everything. And this is when it started with me. And yeah, so I think it'd be about like, yeah, 18 years,
Wow.
19 years now. Yeah.
Dang. Dang. Ugh. And were there like, and Colin, I know you've got a pressing question after this, but like, was it like soccer 24/7, or did you have to balance like school and like things like that while like, playing soccer? Or was, when you played for FC Nantes, was that like, this is what I'm doing full time?
Yeah, no, no. So school was always really important for my family. So I had to do it. Had to have good grades. Had to make sure I was respectful, and it was really important because they also teach you really young that not everybody is gonna make it, and
That's a good
selection
lesson.
is gonna be really difficult to get there. And even if you're good enough, you might not get there. You have no guarantee of doing it. So you need a plan B.
Mhm.
So school was always really important. But then when you get older, and you get like really, really into the academy, which is under 16, under 17, we used to have school there at the academy when we were training. We had like little classes where we were just only like 6 or 7 students there. And you'd be like, yeah, classes from 8 to 10, then practice, then classes from 2 to 4, then practice. So you know, like you balance it, but then at some point when you get older and you start becoming a little more professional and getting closer to the first team, you definitely like soccer start taking like, a little head start.
Yeah, definitely. That's that kind of leads on into when you came to play collegiate soccer here. Did
Yeah.
that feel kind of like a continuation of being in that academy, going to school and having school and football kind of intertwined like that?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, I didn't know nothing about college soccer in the first place when I got
Yeah.
here. It's actually a really funny story on how I got into college soccer
Let's hear
because
it.
it wasn't
For it.
even my
Here
choice.
for it.
So yeah, so basically, my roommate one day called me and he's like, "Hey, there's that thing that they're like showcase in order to get to go to the US, go play college soccer out there and stuff." And I'm like, I don't even know what that is, I don't know nothing about college soccer. I don't know what. And he's like, kind of like, trying to get me into it and stuff. He said, just come with me, just do the showcase. So I called my older brother and be like, hey, here, there's a showcase here. Should we try? Be like, all right, let's do it. So we went there, I played, and then I got called up for the final showcase where all the so-called best players, you know, go to. It was in Paris,
Mm.
and I remember because I went to Paris and I was terrible. I was so
Mm.
bad. I never played like that in my whole life. I feel like
Wow.
I was just not good. It was just like those days where nothing is working. I
Right.
remember I called my brother right afterwards and I said, "Nope, forget about the US." It was fun. It was still fun to try, but yeah, that's not happening. And somehow, it was meant to happen. My coach at Oregon State reached out to me, and I had a pretty good highlight video. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw something in me, and offered me a scholarship. And 3 weeks after, I was going across the globe, and I was in Oregon, and I didn't even know what Corvallis was. I didn't know nothing about that. And yeah, a kid from France out of nowhere doesn't speak English is out here in Oregon. So yeah, that's how it went for me. And then I was really surprised that it's really professional. And I also think the culture that coach Terry Boss brings to that program makes it even more professional. And that was really important for me. It made me feel like, oh, I'm still at home. It's still really serious. All these guys are trying to make it professional. So now we all have that common drive, and it makes it easier to get the best out of you and get the best out of your teammates. So it was the perfect choice. It was the perfect choice. Got really lucky on how he went down, but
Mm-hmm.
it ended up being like the best decision I ever made, probably.
That's great. That's great. There must have been a lot of things that were shocking about going all the way to Oregon, like the landscape, just the college environment, or even in college soccer, how the clock counts down and then there's a buzzer at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was different. I think it was different. I remember my freshman year just being like every day was a new day. Like I just got here and realized I was just learning new stuff, new perspective of life. And my only perspective that I had of like universities and college experience was through like the movies, that I watched back in France. I was like, oh, all right. And then I had to learn, how things are going there, the how big like college sports are and everything here, and how much like people are involved in their university. So
Mhm.
it was a big shock. It was a big shock, but I loved it. I loved it. It was super fun.
Mm. I
Good.
have a I have a quick well, two quick questions. One was was actually I guess maybe three. Sorry, Colin. Was Oregon State like the main school that you were like you received from? Did you get any offers from any other schools, or was it just like, hey, even if you did, was it like I really like what Oregon State's doing. I want to go there.
No, I think Oregon State was the main school that made sense. I had couple other. I had I think a D2 school reach out to me, the national champion at the moment. I think it was Charleston,
Oh,
something
okay.
like that. But my decision was already made at that moment, so we
Mhm.
stopped talking. But I don't even think that many teams reached out to me. I told you I was terrible. I played really bad that day. I wasn't
Yeah,
good.
they're just
But then after my freshman year, I received a lot of calls from
Mhm.
a lot of different schools. Trying to get me to their program. But no, as soon as I chose Oregon State and how he went, and
Mhm.
how it just clicked with the coaching staff out there, and with my teammates, I was like, yeah, I'm not moving. I'm not going
I mean,
anywhere.
we'll get into it in a second. I know Colin has some questions about. I mean, like you picked up some serious hardware while you were there.
Yeah.
Like tell us a little about like one like how was your family like when you were like going to make the jumps to states, like did they how'd they feel about that? Did they travel, like did anyone travel with you? Did anyone come visit? And then kind of like a separate question too, now that you're out of like would you've tried to go after any like NIL sponsorships or anything like that, or tried to do anything with like NIL now that like you're out of college and now that you're seeing players can do all that?
Yeah. So for the first question, my parents didn't want me to go at the beginning.
Mm.
They didn't want
Oh,
me to go because it was tough for them to think that I would go in a new country where I don't speak the language, at the opposite of the word. And like I said, we didn't know nothing about college. We didn't know how it worked. I remember my dad in the first place was like, "No, there's no point. Why would you go there?" And I remember telling them like, "Give me 6 months. Just 6 months. I want to play the fall, see how it goes,
yeah.
and if it doesn't make sense, I'll come back.
Good.
I'll come back and I'll find something here." And my first season went great. It was amazing, and they were really happy. They were really proud. They also felt better because they knew it was safe. They knew it made sense for me. They knew I had good people around me, so it made the decision a little easier on them. But in first place, yeah, they want to come, and I've got a lot of siblings. It was tough for
Yeah.
anybody to come, so they didn't come when I was in college. But my parents flew this summer in DC, so it was the first time
Cool.
in the US, and it was probably
That's cool.
the best time since I got here. But it was a lot of fun. It was super nice, and yeah, but yeah,
Nice.
that's about it.
Solid. And that like especially now, especially since you picked up so much hardware, and I'll let Colin talk a little about that. Would you have like, especially now with all this NIL talk about players like getting money for, like, do you
Hmm.
think that would have been an option for you in school, like, but to try and like reach out or try and do something, even if it was like
Um,
international or something?
I mean, couple brands, like nothing crazy, like reach out at a certain moment. The fact that I was international and couldn't get a working visa was
Yeah,
difficult, and it was about to like slow down the process of that. So I didn't really pay attention to it. I was like,
true.
I'm gonna leave that on the side. I'm glad you guys, I received a couple T-shirts here and there, trying to be like, oh yeah, there's like this brand I want to maybe, but I was like, I wasn't taking that seriously. I was just focusing on my craft and was like, if one day I make it professional, and maybe those brands will be back, and we'll
Yeah,
see.
He gives me a
no, it
great
makes
idea.
sense.
You could, I would love to ask more international players like about the whole like work visa and getting like an NIL deal. Like that would be crazy. I didn't think about that. Think about NIL, but
Yeah.
sidebar, tangent, sidebar.
Adds in a whole nother element, doesn't it? Let's see. I'm just thinking about your time at Oregon State too. You guys won Pac-12 championship, right? And you were Player of the Year in the Pac-12. You're up for the Herman Trophy, right? Um, I guess, when did you kind of feel like you were at the top of your game in that sphere of
Yeah, I
playing?
think yeah, it was a pretty long process, but I think the mental shift came thanks to my coach. Made me realize a little bit, like I said before, I came as a kid that wasn't really confident, didn't really believe like fully in what he can do. I knew I had and abilities to like, be a good player, but I was missing that confidence. I was missing that that thing, that just mental switch. And at the end of my, I think it was sophomore year. At the end of my sophomore year, I was in a couple of discussions, to maybe sign a Generation Adidas contract and all that. And then I started realizing, okay, like I can get it done, And I remember talking with my coach, and like he made me realize that, I was talking about working hard more than actually working hard, And then I start like leaving that on the side. And yep, then it was some early morning. It was some like 5:45, 6 a.m., putting some two, three, 3 sessions a day. And when you're prepared and you just feel so confident, so ready. Like there's no chance in the world the guy that's standing in front of me is going to be more prepared than me. There's no chance he can beat me. Like I probably train like 250 hours more than you just in this month, So
That
it's like
Mamba.
there's no chance. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Kobe Bryant was also like one of my big like inspiration at that moment, and I started learning a lot about him. But it just changed everything. And then the last 2 years, you ended up, being one of the top players in the country, have all that hype around you. I was a captain of the team since my sophomore year, so I had also those like expectation that people had for me within the team, to be that guy, to be that
Mhm.
guy. And I always wanted to be like, the face of the program. When you think about that program, I wanted you to feel like, yeah, this is the guy, you know.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think that mental switch like changed everything. And then the last 2 years were just like, all in, all in. Had a couple of my teammates in the same mindset, same spot mentally. Like okay, we're gonna push each other, and after that, the sky was the limit.
that's great. That's you know, it sounds like that really prepared you a lot to kind of come into MLS draft, being drafted by DC, and you were ready to take on that responsibility, or just kind of the eyes on you and the attention that you get when you take that step up to going professional.
No,
So
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it was a lot of like expectation, a lot of like I was hearing a lot of things about me and people expecting me to go professional. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going professional and I'm going to show you that, I worked hard and I show you the way and, if you do that, you just put more chances for you to go and get it done. So I had a high expectation. I felt prepared, felt like I could do it. And I worked so hard for it that, nobody was about to take it away from me.
that's
Hell
great.
yeah. And
Hell yeah.
hell yeah. But like even like as Colin said, like that prepared you for the pros, getting ready for getting drafted. Right before you entered the pros, you played like in the USL League too, right, with like Portland's team. What would
Yeah,
or
I did a little bit.
yeah? So what did that also prepare you to like go to the next level, or like when you were doing that, like what did you learn from that experience? Like what were you able to take away from that even more to like elevate your game?
Yeah, I remember it was my freshman year. It was at the end of my freshman year over the summer. It was a fun experience. It was definitely fun. I had to cut it short a little bit because I was going there to train with one of my teammates and he tore his ACL. So I was like, okay, I might need to avoid that. That'd be great. So I
Yes.
ended up like cutting it short, but it was fun. It was nice. It was a good experience, to do some stuff over the summer, to stay ready, to get ready, to be part of like an organization as well. And it was fun. It was definitely fun. It also helped me because, but no matter what, no matter what you do, college and professional is really different. So it's going to be a big jump. You can be as prepared as you want. It's still going to be really different. Pressure is going to be different. Level is going to be different. But no, definitely, I felt like it was just like everything that I've done those like the 3 years and a half I was at Oregon State just, got me ready for that moment.
That's awesome. Were you training with Portland's first team at all at that time, or just separate
Mm,
USL team?
no, I wasn't. I was just with the USL 2 team. Yeah, that's about it. I went with training with Austin before my senior season. I trained a little bit. There's a couple other teams that also wanted me to go and train with them. The issue is that with the NCAA, teams are not allowed to pay for you, so that made it a little more difficult. So yeah, I trained a couple days with Austin, which was a good experience. I felt before my senior season in order to like I wanted to have that experience before to train with them and be like, okay, that's what it takes. Go to your senior season and now you know what's gonna happen in January.
Yeah.
Those bastards at the NCAA always have to have what they want. It's terrible.
I'm not gonna say anything about that. I'm not gonna say anything about that.
You don't have to. You don't have to. It's all good. It's all good. And then like now that you're getting ready, you're crushing at the college level, like you said before. Like a lot of people were expecting you to, and you were ready to go professional. Tell us a little about like the draft and what was that like?
The draft went kind of crazy for me. So like I don't want to brag about it, but I was one of the best players in the country. Known as one of the best players in the country. I had a lot of meetings with MLS teams at the combine. Uh, I was in, those little things don't really matter, but like on all those mock drafts, you see yourself, going top 10, going top 15. Like you're always one of those guys that the name just come back and everybody think, yeah, you're going to be a top 15 pick. And also like, received everything from the MLS as like one of the top picks, receive all the scarf, the hats and everything and all the excitement, comes in and stuff. And you're like, oh, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And, yeah, no, the draft came and one of my teammates, TK and Sabalenka, who play for Dallas now, was there, and like all my teammates came to the house and we all watched it together. It was an interesting moment. I remember receiving the call from DC United early in the first round for the number 12 pick. And then so telling me that they were about to pick me, and then they ended up trading for some money. They received an offer, and then there was a couple other teams in the first round that also told me they were about to pick me. So I received the call, and I'm like, they're about to pick me. Okay, getting ready, to get the hat and the scarf, and it ended up not happening. So I was like, okay, I was a little surprised, I was a little surprised, but I was like, okay, it's meant to happen. If it goes that way, it goes that way. It is what it is. Was really happy for one of my brothers, for Tiki, who got drafted the last pick of the first round to Dallas. Like you said, like it was one of the guy that would come with me at 6 a.m., and go and train and always push each other. So when I saw him getting what he deserved, because he's an amazing player as well, it was I was really happy. Like I said, him getting drafted was even more like enjoyable than me getting drafted. And then I received the call from DC, got it early, early in the second round, and I was like, you know what, it was meant to happen. I guess DC, there was something for me there. So yeah, it ended up being it started in a weird way, but at the end of the day, it ended up being a good story. So at least I have a good story to tell.
Yeah, I think Joe and I both are happy that DC ended up grabbing you.
Easily.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Talk
It's
about a roller coaster. Talk about just go ahead.
Yeah,
interesting.
you said it. You said it. Like that day I went through like every single emotion. It was crazy. It was crazy,
I
but
think
it
the
ended up
draft.
being good.
I think the draft alone is one of those weird U.S. sports things that you might not have even been that familiar
Oh
with.
yeah, 100%. Like it took me probably 2 years to understand everything about like the pathway to go professional. It
Yeah,
took me a minute. It's really, really different. Obviously, back in France, you always hear about like the NBA draft and everything, and you expect the MLS draft then to be kind of like similar. So I had that perspective, but to know like the ins and outs on how you can go professional, like what are the pathways. It took me a minute. It
yeah,
took me a minute. But yeah, like you said, it was a big roller coaster. I can tell you that.
definitely. Well, I guess then since going through college and now being in MLS, do you see big differences in the culture from spending so much time here and all your childhood playing in France? Do you see big differences in players, coaches, fans, any things that stand out to you?
I think the biggest difference is the intensity. The intensity and how professional those guys are. It's an everyday, like you understand. Before coming in, I was like, oh, you guys' job is to play soccer. Like this is the best thing ever. Just playing soccer and you get paid for it. Like you can't complain. And then you get here and you realize that's an actual job. It is your job. Like it's a day-to-day job. You gotta go, show up, work, work, work. And when you go home, you're still working. Everything is like needs to be done for you to be ready for the next day. And it's a lot, and it's a little different than playing in academy or playing college, where you have still like that um side of like, yeah, there's no business involved, there's no money involved, it doesn't have all that pressure that
Yeah,
being professional come with. So I think that's the biggest difference. Is like you got to be switched on at all times when you're professional, no matter what. Every single practice, the intensity, how much those guys want to win, even at practice, like the smallest drill. When at Oregon State, we'll work hard and stuff. Yeah, but sometimes we'll be smiling, we'll be laughing and all that. Like here, professionals, like we'll laugh in the locker room. Yeah, on
yeah,
the field, let's go for it. So I think that's the biggest difference.
yeah. That's it's that mentality that gets you where you are, right?
Mm.
1 billion%, 1 billion%.
So how has I know like I was talking to Colin a little about this, and I think everyone will agree, it's definitely DC United's working back to get where they were before, and they're making great strides doing that. What's it been like so far with your journey with the team? Like how's it been? I know I'll like again I guess I'll combine questions here, Colin, too. Like you've got one of the all-time greats coaching you with Wayne Rooney, and being under his team, and you know making the right moves, making the right pieces. What's it like been so far? And, what's it like being in practice with one of the greats of all time, kind of coaching you?
Yeah, I mean, this year's been a little roller coaster for me, as it's my first year professional.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, we're not in a spot where we want to be right now. We had, that's our third coach this year. So it was really different. I'm gonna say, I think different is the word. It was gotta adapt. Now there's a new coaching staff, but a lot of the guys that were already there are still working with us. And like you said, have the chance to have Wayne Rooney as your head coach is a blessing. Someone that won everything, someone that was one of the best player in the world many years. And it's just, at the beginning you don't realize it. It seems a little crazy, then you kind of get used to it. But have someone that believe in like young players, is willing to give you a chance and everything. It just like brings all that confidence, and every time he gives you an advice or everything, like, you listen carefully, and I think having someone that had that feeling that got to the point where all of us want to be at some point in our career is a big advantage that we have, and that we should use and take care of. And I'm 100% learning every day, and that's what I love.
Like you said, he's into. Is he just on fire 100% of the time? Like, you toss it, like just going nuts. Like, is he just crazy, or does like he kind of keep it like he just gets mad at the right times?
Yeah, I think is such a nice guy. He's just super nice. Mentality is really, really important for him, and which is something important for me as well, because that's something that you can control. Not giving up fighting, something you can control, and I think that's something that's not debatable with him. And he was like that as a player as well. So if you get that part done, you know, at least that's the minimum you can do for him. In the soccer part. But no. He's not. He's not mean. He's not mean. He's a nice guy.
That's good to know. I had to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess away from the field, then, how do you spend your time aside from joining us on podcasts? what kind of things? What kind of things have you found yourself enjoying around DC?
Yeah, I think it was a tough part for me at the beginning, because there's all that pressure of like getting out of the draft, the preseason, trying to perform, trying to sign that first contract, all that. So beginning of the season was a little tougher to find something else to do. But it took me a minute. I actually tried stuff. I was trying to learn and stuff. Trying to learn, my bad. Trying to read, and after 2 weeks of reading, I was like, nah, that's not for me. You know,
Same.
but a Nintendo Switch, start playing video games a little bit. But I think that the thing that I really enjoyed the most is that I'm a lot in contact with the guys back home at Oregon State, and after playing, I always wanted to be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always talking with my old coach at Oregon State. We talk about tactics. I talk with all the guys. I watch their game, their training session, and I've been there before. So everything that I can do, to help them, thrive and go to the draft and get drafted. I think that's where I spend most of my time. And I really like that part of the game as well. So that's what I do, man. Yeah, so it's soccer at all times.
That's really good.
Sometimes on the field, or sometimes I act like a coach.
Yeah.
I act like a coach for a couple hours, and then I go back to the play.
Nice.
Do you play any golf? I'm sure Wayne plays his fair share of golf, and I know other guys on the team play. Is that something you've picked up at all?
My hips can't move. My shoulders are terrible. I'm not gonna disrespect that sport. I can't do it. I went to Top Golf once. That was more than enough. It was more than enough. I was like, yep, that's for me. Maybe when I get older, and wiser, at like, 35, 36, I'd be like, yeah, maybe I should start. But right now, a couple of times I tried, completely missed the ball. Yeah, not for me. Not for me.
You got two guys that will, if you ever in the area want to play, you got two guys who are not great, but we give it our best. We give it a shot. Plus,
That's
there's
more than enough.
There's beers on the course, so you use it as a liquid energy. You make it a little bit better.
Yeah, we get it done. Just give me a couple years to get ready, and then we get it done.
Kid's gonna be smoking it down the fairway. And Colin, I'll let you wrap it up after this one, but definitely, are there any interest or topics, things that, like whether it's, things you want to shed light on, or anything that you find really like important and you want to shed some light on? Are there any topics or interests, either off the field or on the field, that you think need to be addressed, or like you want to address with the crowd, or, you wish people knew about a little bit more?
That's an interesting question. Um, I think I think college soccer. I think college soccer. A lot of people discredit what college soccer is and how good of players you can find in college soccer. But I'm telling you, and I've been around like professional players now. I've been around like academy players and all guys. There's some serious level. You know,
Mm.
there's a lot of programs that are doing great things in the US, and I believe don't get enough credit. And I think college soccer, and there's a lot of guys with like crazy stories, that can inspire a lot of people and change a lot of lives just because they've been through so much and had the chance to be with some of those guys at Oregon State, and it literally changed my life and impacted me so much that every time that if you ask me how am I doing, I'm gonna tell you I can't complain, you know, and it's simply because of that. So I think like putting a little bit of light on college soccer and give them the credit that those kids deserve for how much work they put in and the story that they have and the legacy that they're going to leave over time is something that I believe deserve a little bit of credit for.
I'm buying a Corval or Beavers jersey after this. I'm gonna become a huge fan of
I go you. You know what? I'm sending you. You send me your address. I'm sending you a Pac-12 men's soccer champion jersey, the one
Okay.
that we had for
Say
last
less.
year. I got you.
I'll wear it
I got
always
you.
on the show. I'll wear it for every episode with Colin. We'll share it back and forth. I'll send it to you for a few
I know.
episodes.
I got both of you. Just send me an
Perfect.
address. I send it both of you. I got you guys.
We'll get it popping easily.
That's what I'm
That's
talking
what
about.
we're here for. We're here to raise awareness too.
Yeah,
No doubt.
I think that's a good point. I watch tons of MLS, obviously all the DC United games, but plenty of other. And in the past few years, the number of college players who have not only come into MLS teams, but been significant players on them has just been increasing. People are starting to come around to see that there's a lot of good
No,
college
100%,
players.
100%, 100%.
Yeah. So I guess just kind of as we close this up here, what would you say is your favorite thing about playing or just generally about the sport of football and kind of what led you to pursue your career in it, to want to spend all of your time and energy doing it?
Yeah. I think it's my dad.
Hmm.
I think it's my dad. When I learned about the story of my dad and where he came from and all the things that he's been through, and I saw how much love he had for that sport, I knew that I can, the only way for me to say thank you is for me to make it professional and be and have that jersey. I think that's what was my goal. I never talked about being professional. I talked about having that jersey with my name at the back, with his name at the back, and that was the main reason I played it. And I tell a lot of people, and a lot of people are shocked about it and stuff. But like, it's not about me. If it was just about me, I would have stopped playing a long time ago, like a long time ago. Not saying that I don't love the sport. I love the sport more than anything else, and there's nothing else I want to do more than that. But that purpose was bigger than anything else, you know. So doing it for my dad, doing it in order for him, to be proud, and now seeing him with my jersey on, he's probably rocking it like 24/7. I don't even know if he washes it. He probably rocks it no matter what. But yeah, it was the what brought me the most joy, being able to bring my parents to DC and go on the field with them and for them to just see, wow, a lot of people screaming, when you play a nice ball or you're a defensive player or anything, was too nice. It was amazing. So I think, yeah, for me, my wife, my dad, and that's the reason why I play.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Go for it, Jim.
And I was just gonna say, I think you answered it with, it was soccer or nothing, and we definitely have some time for it. Colin, I think I have to get your answer on this question too. This is a totally irrelevant question. It has nothing to do with soccer. It has nothing.
I'm fine. I'm ready for it.
It's so I'm not sure how much American culture you've soaked up or anything like that. And I usually ask this question to kind of help build around it. But have you ever seen the movie like Step Brothers with Will Ferrell and them?
You know how funny that is. All the guys are giving me a hard time in the locker room because I haven't watched that movie.
No worries at all. In fact, this next question I ask you will kind of allude to a scene in that. I've asked it to NFL Pro Bowlers. I've asked it to actors. I just love hearing it. So one of my buddies tasked me with the question, and Colin, we'll go Sofiane and then you. One of my buddies asked me this a long time ago, and it is a thought-provoking question, but I'm curious. So let's say you're walking home, you're in the middle of I don't know where you are, but you're walking and you come across the street and a horde of fifth graders attack you. How many fifth graders do you think you could take on before they overpower you, man? I mean, you're a soccer player, so you got the legs to, do some kicks and some judo kicks and whatnot. But how many do you think you could take down? And you know what, you can, like, when I asked this question to an NFL Pro Bowler, he was like, I'll apologize to the parents later. Don't worry about the parents. How many do you think you could take on before? Because fifth graders are kind of built now. They'll push a couple bills.
How old is a fifth grader?
What would you say? Like 8 or 9 or 10, I want to say. Definitely young enough, but my wife's
10?
a teacher.
10.
Yeah, 10. My wife's
Roughly.
a teacher. She's had some fifth graders that are coming in at
some big boys. Some big
LBs.
boys.
Right. They're a little chunky. They have some LBs, and some of them are 5'7", 5'8". They're not as small as they used to make them. So how many before they overpower you think you could take down?
Let me apologize to the parents as well. There's nothing against you guys. It's a simple question. I'm doing simple math right now. If we go with the average, it's probably around, say, 5'5", 5'5". That's already big for 10 years old.
Yeah,
that's way too big. Do I need to take them down, or it's just like if they can't find no more, I'm good to go to the next one?
Yeah.
That's a crazy question.
I know, man.
Question. I think double digits for sure. I think double digits. For if it's life or death situation, 100% double digits.
Okay.
What do you say? Yeah.
Okay. Double digits. You thinking like 20s, or you thinking like 30s?
No, I'm thinking like 20s. I think 20s, life or death situation, 20.
Okay, that's a respectable
20,
answer.
I'm winning.
You've got some fight in you.
I'm not trying to be mean to too many kids. That's why as well. I gotta share both sides of it.
No. These are some bad kids. They have it coming. There's some bad kids. They have it coming. It's 100%. 100% warranted. Colin, same question to you. Roughly, how many do you think?
That's the question. That's my question.
The first thought in my head. The first thought in my head says 0 because I don't have it in my heart. I don't have it in my.
What?
If I really think about it,
if
I am walking and I just need to get home, I don't know, probably 6 or 8.
Okay. Come on, Colin. Come on, Colin.
I can run fast. I can run fast. I'll just outrun them.
Okay, that situation.
It's funny you say that. When I
would set the over under at 10.
Okay, and we're gonna take the under on that.
50-50.
So I'm probably on a list now because I shouldn't have Googled this, but I Googled like the average fifth grade size, and that can't be good. But like it says like how it says anywhere between like 50 to 62 inches in height. So like right around like 5 feet, a little So we were pretty spot on. I've always said like 10 to 15. I'm not in the best shape right now. I think I could take a few down, and one of my buddies said because they're still young, they're not developing yet. So they'll go down, but it's like, hey, there's a lot of them, and it's been a whole, like you said, we got jobs.
No, you gotta think.
These kids just go to school.
No, it's a deep question. It's not that simple of a question. It's a deep question. There's a lot of things to think about. We have some discussions like that sometimes in the locker room, but that's a good one. That's a good one.
Good to know. It's good to know that. I respect that.
Now you can tell them in the locker room about Step Brothers too.
That's a scene from Step Brothers.
And I just said that's the only moment I remember about the whole movie. But I think I get away with it.
Tell the boys that like your favorite scene was like the playground scene, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, so you watched it?" And just be like, "Yeah, I watched it."
I got it.
Or if they're listening to this episode,
I'll let you know. I'll let you know how that goes.
For sure. And then lastly, it's just, again, thank you so much for joining us. We can't thank you enough. Colin, do you have anything before we let Sofiane go?
I think we covered a lot.
Oh man, dude, you are always you're always welcome to come back on the show. We'd love to have you back on. We're also gonna, try to talk to as many DC United, players and heck, even coaches. We can talk to Wayne too, but we'd love to have you back on. You're a friend of the show, friend of the pod. We're here to raise awareness, so we're gonna be watching some college soccer, or football, excuse me. Yeah, no, I can't thank you enough for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was fun. It was fun, and if I can share a little bit of my story, and maybe help a couple guys, get to that point, or help them in their journey, whatever their journey is. I'm all for it, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, we can't thank you enough. Colin, thank you so much for joining too. Sofiane, you've been a pleasure having us on. Thank you so much for answering that last question. And with
Yeah,
that,
of course.
we'll head out to the next. We'll head out to the next part. But thank you so much, man.
So
Hope you
good. Thank you, guys. Take
of
care,
course.
brothers.
Have a
Take
good
care.
one,
See ya.
man.
Bye.
Send you those
Bye.
addresses.
Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting for you guys' messages. All right.
All right, we got
Ciao.
you. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.